Hi, Stuart Bruce here, and I am the Spare Time Property Investor. In these podcasts, I'm going to share tips, tricks, and lessons that I've learned and will hopefully help you, especially if you're still working the 9 to 5. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Spare Time Property Investor podcast. This week is an interview episode. I'm joined by Cullen and Ola from Bricks and Disorder. They have a really great page on Instagram, so go and check it out. But basically, they're two friends who decided to put their money together to get themselves on the property ladder and do a house up. They do the house up, they live in it, they work from it. And they share some of the stories of some of the challenges they've experienced while they've been doing it. They don't really have a background in property. They're not builders or anything like that. So yeah, they've dealt with some pretty challenging things so far, and it's quite nice to hear their experience, but also their enthusiasm for the process. They also have some really good tips about improving your social media game. And I know a lot of people struggle with social media, so hopefully that section will be really helpful. But before we get into it, thank you so much for joining me again. Thank you for all the continued support. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, please subscribe. If you like this episode, please share it on your socials. And don't forget to check out previous episodes that you might have missed. Thank you to everybody who's been contacting me with their questions and things like that. I try and answer everybody and I really enjoy it, to be honest. So, keep them coming. Also, if you'd like to talk to us about any services that we can provide to you, just DM us or, email us on info@colivit.co.uk. We can help to source and set up HMOs to help build your portfolio. But, if you've got any questions, just get in touch and we'll try and help you. But for now, that's it from me. Let's get to the interview. So thanks again, guys, for coming on to the podcast. First off, it would be great if you could introduce yourselves and let me know what you're up to in property.
Hey, I'm Ola.
I'm Cullen.
Some people call us Cola.
Yeah, nice.
We like those people.
Yeah, in terms of property, last March, we bought our first property together, put our money together to buy a sort of 3-bed terrace house in London, East London. And we've just been spending the entire year renovating it, living in it, trying to make sense of it.
That's great. And like you're saying, you've bought it together. So it's quite unusual for friends to go and get there. Is that your first house as well? The first house?
Yeah, this is our first house.
So that's quite an unusual step for people to make. But I totally get why you do it. I mean, how has that been so far? Buying it with a friend and then living in it and working in it. It must be pretty full on.
Literally just walk out of our bedroom and there's the office, like straight as soon as you wake up. It's been a journey. It's been a journey.
Yeah.
So obviously the pandemic hit. We got followed the day that we got our keys, and as we were renovating, we started discovering more and more problems, and that's where the friendship comes into like a test.
Maximum effort.
And somehow we got through the rots, the rats, the crumbling walls, and yeah, they're still surviving.
Exactly.
Talk me through it then. Talk me through it. So there's rotten wood, rats. I saw as a video about a bee attack.
Oh yeah, we got attacked by some bees.
Yeah.
Of course, everything happened to us. Everything.
From the outside, this definitely would be classed as a disaster, I think. But to us, it's been like a massive success. I think
it's just life.
Exactly. We felt a little rushed initially to get the house, which is obviously a mistake that once you've been through it, you realize you won't make again. But we kind of jumped into it. We were like, oh, let's just go for it, knowing that the property had some problems and being like, quite optimistic. We were like, we can do it, we can tackle it. We'll use YouTube and things like that to get over it. And once we slowly started taking the wallpaper off, that revealed another problem, and the wall was falling down. And then after you do that, that revealed some asbestos, and we didn't really know about asbestos, and we're subject to that a little bit, which isn't good. Then you move on and you start to feel a little bit happy about it, and suddenly you realize the kitchen floor has dry rot, and you thought the kitchen floor was concrete, so you have to rip it all out. You're falling through the floor and starting again there in all the kitchens in the living room. When you do that, you realize that you've let in a load of rats through holes through the wall. and then you've got an
infestation
of rats.
Oh, and they were so fat.
Oh, there was one of them that was massive and had a limp. It was like a kid.
But you say you're in London now, aren't you? So like, there's big fat rats in London.
Big fat rats.
Yeah. Like cats.
They chewed through our cables. They chewed through the dishwasher cable. We were like, oh, the dishwasher's broken. The guy comes over and he's like, look, I'll replace the cable for you this once, but it was a rat just chewed straight through it. He chewed one of the water pipes as well that went into the bathroom.
Yeah,
it was just destruction.
So there's a lot there. There's a lot there. You've trial by fire. You've got in there. You've got stuck in, and lessons from it. So did you have a background in property or anything like that before getting this, or did you just decide that property investment was a good idea?
We didn't have any background. I think Cullen's parents did some stuff before, but Cullen wasn't really involved with that on like odd jobs with his dad.
We're artists, we're like we both did fine art. We both went to uni and did an artistic sort of job. Like we weren't really prepared for this, but
we'd never touched the drill before.
But
we just knew that it was a good idea. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and once I read that, I was like, you know what, we need to get onto this. I gave that book to Cullen.
I watched it.
Read it.
Watched the book. I didn't read it. I just read it. I was like, yes, I get it.
That book is honestly the one book that everybody says about when you're in property. Everybody says that was the one that just got them thinking differently and like inspired them. Like that. So from that book though, did you do like any like training, even if it was like looking on like YouTube or listening to podcasts or reading or anything like that about property, or did you just think, let's get a property?
We watched so many videos on property.
YouTube.
So I watched more about the financial side, but Cullen watched the financial side and DIY stuff as well. Because Cullen did like woodwork stuff in
at GCSE. GCSE is nothing. But like I think YouTube was basically our saving grace throughout. It's like it will be a common theme throughout this is we looked at videos and was like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is a way to potentially make some passive income. This could be great. And then we were both sort of looking for somewhere to move out. And we're like, could we do a mix where we can live in the house and make some income off it? So it's not just we just live in because we want a house. It's like, how can we make money from this? So we always had that lens. It wasn't just let's buy a house because we want one.
We wouldn't want the house to be a liability. So
it's great. And I think taking action is one of those things that I think a lot of people they'll do training endlessly for years and years and years, or read tons and tons of books, and then when it actually comes to doing it, that's where they kind of stop. So at least you guys, you've watched a few YouTube videos and you've decided to get stuck in, and you just need to deal with the rats and the rot and everything like that as it comes.
There's no videos on that. They don't tell you like what to do if you get into a property that's infested with rats.
Well, I suppose so. Jack Russell. That's all I know. Rats, you just get a load of Jack Russells and Well, I'm a vegetarian, so I shouldn't really say that really, but never mind. So what's the plan then? So you're gonna do the house up, and then are you going to rent it out? Are you gonna move on to do another kind of a live-in flip, or what? What's the kind of plan?
The main plan is to wait for 4 years, because we have a 5-year fixed mortgage. And then once that's over, then we'll remortgage and then pull out all of the money, that value that I've added, and buy other houses with it as well.
Exactly.
But we've got options that we're still exploring. That might not be the most efficient way, but that's our main plan right now.
Exactly. And in the meantime, we also we made an extra bedroom in this house, so now we have 2 spare bedrooms that we want to rent out to lodgers. And then with sort of income that we just get along the way, we want to try and get at least one house between now and that 5-year space. We don't know where yet.
No, it sounds great. I think they call it house hacking in America, what you're doing. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's called
Sounds powerful.
Yeah. If you ever listen, there's a podcast called Bigger Pockets. They always talk about house hacking. It's kind of what you're doing. So yeah, look it up. It's it sounds great, and it's a really good strategy because it's really massively kind of tax efficient in terms of if you compare it to a flip or something like that, or and you're able to have lodgers rather than people on ASTs and stuff like that. So it could work really well. I suppose it's that a lot of people would be reluctant to commit so much to the project in terms of living in a building site, inviting people into their house to live alongside them and stuff like that. But I think sounds like a great idea to get in there. And I mean, you guys, you're pretty young, right? So this is a great thing to be able to do, and it's probably the only way you could have got on the property ladder.
Yeah, 100%. Pretty much. And we're lucky that we were freelancing at the time and we worked together as well. And our trajectories are the same. We both want the same things. So it just made sense that we partner up to do this.
Yeah.
And we were lucky that we were earning enough money to do this in the first place as well while we were freelancing. Not lucky, well, partly lucky, but also we worked very hard as well.
Yeah, exactly. It did look quite bleak when we were quite excited. Before we had the idea of going together, we were like, we're actually on an income where we could potentially get a house. And then you look at it from doing it from a single perspective, and it's just, you've got no chance in London. I think it's slightly more viable all over the rest of the country, but for us, it was the only way to do it, was partnering up.
London's hard. Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you guys, you're in advertising. That's your kind of, is that right? Roughly, that's your kind of, you're a creative team and you're...
Yeah, creative.
Is that kind of
right? It's right. It's just that, right, we've gone through like lots of stages. So we started out in advertising and then we've like gone into more content now. So we still do advertising as well, but we're content creators too. Advertising creatives, content creators, creatives.
Same thing.
Creatives.
Yeah. Which leads me on to your Instagram, which is really, really good. I love the videos. I love the kind of look of it. It's really engaging. So has that so far brought you any kind of opportunities in terms of people speaking to you about maybe working with you in the future in terms of property, or how is that kind of working out for you?
In so many ways. We've had people just giving us straight up advice, being like, you need to do this. There's people sending us things like, we put up our problems. Any problem we face, we're just transparent about it. Mm-hmm. They tell us everything we're doing wrong, which is quite fun. We've had somebody reach out to us, this lovely lady who's basically offered to help us with our entire garden. She's a gardener. And designed some stuff for us and has come to help out with that. So that's brilliant. And then we've also had other property developers be like, let's have a chat and we can work out some ways that you could actually do a better job than what our original plan was, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah, so we've managed to get lots of opportunities through that and through our TikTok as well. I guess our TikTok was the thing that sparked the growth on Instagram. And it's just crazy what having an audience can do.
Which has, what is it? The following on TikTok, 170,000 or something crazy.
Yeah, currently.
That's amazing.
It's pretty fast in the last week.
Yeah. Are you seeing it speeding up the growth, or?
Yeah, we had a really successful post that got us. I don't know how many new supporters, but it was around 50,000, I think. No, maybe, around 50,000, 53.
That platform in general is just very, very, it's kind of inspiring because it's got a real community feel to it and everybody is really positive, not too many trolls.
Yeah, on the most part.
I
say 95% positive, and then you have like a few trolls, The
other 5% are just saying, are you a couple? Are you a couple? Are you married? Are you getting married yet? This is suspects.
That's all they got to say. My God.
Yeah.
A bit, but I mean, everybody knows that social media is such an important thing these days for all sorts of businesses. So if you were to advise somebody how to improve their content, or get better engagement or something like that, is there any particular tips you'd give to people to improve their own kind of Instagram or TikTok?
A few things. Number one would be like learn how to like tell stories. People love stories, and I think the more engaging a story you can tell, the better. So there's this channel on YouTube called Charisma on Command. It's a channel that we used to watch before, and we still watch it now because the tips there are really, really helpful, and it just shows you like really charismatic people on different areas of life and celebrities, and yeah, it just gives you tips on how they've gotten to where they are, and
how to hook somebody's attention,
yeah.
How to tell a story that other people will find interesting.
Yeah, some people are just naturally gifted with it, but if you're not, then I'd say definitely check that out, and keep the audience in mind. I'd say, because mostly people, they care about themselves. So if you try and tailor what your message to benefit them or to involve them in some way and make them care about it, then that's more likely for your message to resonate with them.
That was going to be exactly my point. It's like most people, when they start posting, I think the mistake they make is they make it about them. It's like, it's all about me. And like, you see a lot of big influencers do it, which is why everybody else wants to do it. But is that they've got to a certain scale where it's possible for them to just post something about themselves. But you have like a niche, you have something that you're saying that's slightly different to everybody else. And it's something that is not for you, it's for somebody else. So like the purpose of it is to help somebody, and you have that lens, then suddenly you'll realize that they'll find it useful.
Yeah, I feel like the clue in TikTok is in the actual name. It's the For You page, not for me. Okay. You have to make it for people, not yourself.
Yeah,
that's really helpful. I think a lot of people struggle with it. I see so many people suggesting what you should post on a Monday, or like little very specific things about what to do and stuff like that. And I always think, well, that's probably not really that helpful, because if everybody's posting the same thing on a Monday, well, what traction are you going to get? But from what you guys are saying about the things and kind of serving the audience and stuff like that, it sounds like it's a lot more kind of sensible, really. That's wicked. Okay, lovely. So in terms of the project so far, then the other thing that is really clear is that you're so hands-on, and you were saying about like you're relying on YouTube to show you how to do everything by the sounds of it. So in terms of the jobs you've been doing so far, what's the worst and what's the kind of best thing you've learned so far in terms of developing a skill?
Always watch more than one YouTube tutorial. There's always more than one way of doing it.
Yeah.
Never think it's going to be a quick job as well. That's a bad thing, because I'm always like, oh, this will take one day. This is simple. You see the guy on the video and you're like, that's a really simple task, and then you go to do it and it takes 10 times as long, and you mess it up and you start again. But I think that's more overall. But in general, one way that we approached all of this stuff was, it's okay to make a mistake. Not everything has to necessarily be perfect. So just enjoy it, learn from it, and just remember that sometimes if you spend money on, say, a better tool, if you buy yourself a sword that you don't have that will make this job so much easier, that's gonna make you have a good result, but also still save you a huge amount of money than what it would have cost to get somebody in to do it.
Yeah, I'd say like if you do the right research and you choose to invest in like a tool or something that can get the job done well, then I definitely go with that over paying for a job. Something that we even like wished that we'd done looking back is like doing like a plastering course instead of paying a plasterer, because that's something that we could have done and then we wouldn't have had to pay as much for the plastering, but that's something we could do in the future.
Yeah.
And I'd say one of our biggest savings from our project as well was when we had damp in the kitchen. And the way that we fixed that was we looked at the survey, saw exactly what they would do in the job. We called them a few times just to make sure the process of what they do.
Yeah, make them like, can you break it down for us?
Yeah.
Taking notes.
The tools that they use, and then we did lots of research to make sure that we could get the exact same thing that they did. And then we just did it ourselves.
Yeah.
We bought the tools we needed and we just did it ourselves.
Yeah.
There's so much
with mind safety as well. Because like sometimes I think we were on that edge. We would never advise anybody to go about doing something without checking the risk to life. There's nothing like that, you know, you've got to be careful with that.
There's certain things as well, certain things like electrics and all that, you kind of, you're better off.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, especially for our first couple of projects, we did everything. YouTube was our best friend. We just did everything off YouTube, and you learn a lot, and it's hard work, but yeah, when you start having to pay for trades and stuff like that, it does feel very expensive. But there's other reasons why people pay for trades, if you can go off and do other things and attract investors or whatever. So no, that's great. So you've been doing this alongside your other work. So how have you managed to balance all of this? Because you're very hands-on. You've been, you know, in the building site, and you've been, you know, juggling your other work. How have you managed to kind of balance everything?
Difficultly. Being completely transparent, not trying to like fool anybody. When we got furloughed, that was actually like a massive saving grace for us, because we had like 2.5 months where a lot of those big problems, when we were stripping the house all the way back, we managed to deal with. And then since that point, when we were back at work, things slowed down considerably. And I think it's just being wary that you don't have to spend every weekend doing a job. Once you're comfortable in the place you're living in, you can just take your time. Unless, of course, you're an investor trying to do it on the side, you need tenants coming in. But the way we did it is we didn't put that pressure to rush ourselves and get burnt out and then just want to pack it all in. We still wanted to enjoy the process. So I think that was key for us, is just we blasted out the initial phase. And then after that, we sort of just did it bit by bit. Sometimes we would work a weekend or in the evenings. Other times we would just have a break.
Apart from taking the breaks and stuff like that, did you use any tools or anything like that to make sure you kept on top of what you were doing? Or was it very much like you finished your job, you went back to the house and just cracked on?
Yeah, I guess one thing that we did use, we don't do spreadsheets and stuff like that. We're not sort of that numbery as people, but we do have Google Docs, and we would always be like, write a list of things to do. We'd even write before the plastering and while it was being plastered, before we painted it, we would write lists on, just checklists. Like it's amazing how powerful a checklist is. Yeah. Just being like, okay, we can get this done, and as long as we do that this week, you know, we'll get it sorted, and we'll still be in a good place. Or even if we did half of that.
I think people in general could achieve so much and do so many things if you have like that goal in the back of your mind. Just creating those things that you can do every day, creating those checklists to like push you towards that goal. By the time that you're going through those daily checklists, those weekly checklists, in like 2-3 months, you'll just be at the goal that you set, and it's just crazy. Like,
exactly,
it just happened like with us right now, and I still can't believe it's happened. We had like a goal of quitting our job since I guess April or something like that, and we've taken lots of big steps every day to just try and like prepare, plan, do so much work in order to get there, and it's finally happened in the past couple of weeks.
We had a to-do list that covered the entire wall in front of us here that you can't see, and it was like each pillar had like 10 things, but you just chip it off, and we'd scribble them out each time we've done it, and in the end you got it.
Let's dig into that then. So you were planning to leave your jobs, and how have you replaced your income then?
So our plan is right now to start going freelance again.
Yeah.
The main problem that we were having with having a 9-to-5 is we just wanted more time to do our own projects.
Yeah.
And to build our page and to just see what can happen if we like take this further and go fully. So we wanted to go freelancing again to just have more time. So we want to work 3 days a week and have those 2 days a week extra to just do our own projects and build out our
all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And in terms of preparation as well, one of the pillars was getting the house so that we can get to a point where we have at least one lodger. So at the moment we have one lodger, and the next plan will be to have another one in the next sort of month, and that will drastically increase our stability. So at that point we won't need to work for months and months, and as long as you've got sort of protection fund of however many, like 6 months, what everybody says, 6 months or whatever, then that means we can safely do our own thing and explore a little bit.
That's great. I was talking to a friend earlier who's a producer, and we were talking about his future, and one of the things is all about smoothing out the kind of dips of income by having a property, just so when he's not got so much on, he can kind of have that little income stream always sitting in the background, which will similar, like where you don't 100% need to replace every penny, but you've got this income always ticking along. So sounds really good. So have you used any kind of business books or anything like that to kind of help you along the way to develop these kind of plans and things like that, or have you just kind of written a load of checklists and gone at it like that? YouTube, or is it just YouTube?
It's been a mixture. So I've read a few books, but I'd say one book that I've read that's really helps define my mindset, not necessarily in a financial way, but just the way that I approach these things is how could I forget the name of the book? It's right there.
The Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich. It's such a good book because it just sets the mindset that you should try and approach achieving goals with, and not a way of like. The only way I could describe it is it just makes you really want to get the things that you want.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. For me,
I think it's one of those books that it's lasted for so long. It's just got like some truths in there that just kind of transcend generation after generation. So I totally like that one.
Yeah, definitely.
So you were saying?
Yeah, and for me, I've got a much shorter attention span, so it's mainly YouTube for me. YouTube and just posts, even other Instagram posts. If you follow lots of the property things, it makes your feed quite boring, but there's a lot of knowledge on there, about how to manage money, how to think about things as investments, and all those sorts of bits of information that you're like, actually, Or sometimes the flip side of that, which I think is really useful, is sometimes it's really easy to get caught up in the money and think, I need to have this money now. I need to be rich. I want to be like this. Whereas, going completely down that route makes you lose track a little bit. Turn into a bit of a robot.
I'd say that, right now, we're at the point where we're not really desiring to like get money and get houses, but we're just really happy with what we have, and we've got a goal in the back of our minds. So we know we're gonna achieve it at some point. So just enjoy life while we're here.
Exactly. We'll get the properties, we'll get all those things, but we're not gonna kill ourselves to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, so the final question then, I suppose, is what will your life look like when you've achieved these goals? What will it be?
Oh boy, that's sparkling. I enjoyed this question a lot.
I think it'll look very similar to what it's like now, but with so much more freedom. With so much more freedom. Yeah. I want to learn how to like fight. Like fight. I think like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai.
I'm with you. That is on my list. Once we get to a certain income, I'm going to take time aside, just purely Jiu-Jitsu.
To fight so that you can protect the income. Get away from my money.
Literally. I just want to do things like that, and I want to like paint, draw, write, and just have time to create. And
Exactly.
within that time, just find other things I want to do as well.
Yeah, I'm in a very similar headspace. We talked about it the other day. Like, we don't even want like all the money, just to a point where, like, even if it was like £3,000 a month each of just income that comes in passively, and then you're just free. Because I never want to be in a position where I'm just doing nothing or I'm retired. Instead, it's more like now I can play a bit more, and the stress is completely gone. So any project I can do can just be purely because I love doing it.
Yeah. And along the way, while we're like renovating these houses and buying these houses, we're just going to make sure that we provide good services for people and make sure that we're bringing value to people's lives, not just making crap houses or just like making bad content or whatever. Everything we do will make sure that it provides value to people and helps people along the way, so they can maybe do the same things that we're trying to do as well.
That sounds great. And I think it's so everybody I speak to, pretty much everybody I speak to says similar things, where there's this image of people in properties like wanting fancy watches and, you know, flash cars and stuff like that. Pretty much everybody just wants to be able to do what they want to do, like have the freedom and time and things like that. And it's incredible. So it sounds great. Well, cool. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on. That's been really cool. And I'll definitely be keeping an eye on what you're up to over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. But where can other people come and see what you're up to?
Oh, come and see us, please.
Come in.
Bricks and Disorder. Bricks and Disorder, as in disorder. Bricks and Disorder on TikTok, Instagram, and we'll soon have a YouTube as well. So look out for us.
We're gonna have a lot more time to post as well, so you're gonna enjoy it.
Yes.
Cool. Well, so thank you so much for coming on, and I'll see you on your feed very soon.
Yeah.
That's great. Cheers.
Very shortly. Sweet. Thanks.
See you guys.
So that's the interview of Bricks and Disorder. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Before I go, I just wanted to say check out the most recent issue of our free newsletter. Also, if you like this episode, please like and subscribe. But for now, that's it from me. Best of luck, and I'll see you again next time. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have, please leave me a 5-star review to help other people find it, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.